wants to look like celebrities and kind of get the same look, and again try and find it in a cheaper way, and it's kind of influencing, because if you can look like them, you may think you have the same money and the same lifestyle, and you know, it's kind of wanting to look like people. So
all the way.
Mostly vintage clothes shops and markets.
Warehouse, Topshop, French Connection.
eBay and the internet mostly.
Zara.
Cruise.
We bought our clothes in H&M or Zara or in the cheapest places. Yeah.
The total consumer expenditure in women's wear in 1995 was almost £13 million, which contrasts with just over £6 million in menswear. More recently, in 2005, the total consumer expenditure for women's wear rose to a staggering £20.5 million. Again, in 1995, the weekly UK average spending on clothes was £21. 9 years later, there has only been a £1 rise. The demographic we have been concentrating on, the under-30s, spend above the average weekly expenditure with a total of £23 per week. Spending hasn't overtly increased. Perhaps this could be a result of the development of copy shops, such as Primark.
I don't think so, because it's always at the forefront with kind of high fashion, that you're always ahead of it. So it has that kind of limited time where it is special and unique, even though kind of it wavers out and becomes more, I guess, usual to be seen on the high street and in everyday life. But it's always like kind of the end of the year after, so it has a moment of time where it's special and unique.
I think, yes, I think special and unique has perhaps always been something, or has never been something, you know, that is quite as it would seem. I think that, you know, that people who think they're creating an identity themselves that's special and unique, it's much more elusive than that to create something of that type. And certainly I think since the 80s it's become a more difficult thing to identify things as being utterly distinctive. And certainly, yes, I mean Primark, Topshop, H&M, all these shops that are immediately incorporating any catwalk looks onto the high street mean that everything is diluted, and you know, it is very difficult to define yourself very clearly in terms of status in relation to clothing, because it's difficult to, you know, as I think I've said to you or other people, you know, it's difficult to tell a Stella McCartney from an H&M.
It's very easy to come up with quick fashion if you're at the volume end of the market, because you can only look at the designers, and you can look at various trends that are going on around you culturally. There might be a huge exhibition somewhere that, say on the 60s or whatever, that might suddenly bring in a new sort of little rush of the 60s look at, or again, we've had this massive vintage looks around for quite some time. But I think that it only takes so long for people to become bored with that level of manufacture, and suddenly other trends could come in, and as I was saying before, you know, a more sort of, when luxury becomes very fashionable, which it hasn't been for a while, so certainly not at high street level. And people change their values and may decide that throwaway clothes aren't quite as important as they were before. And I've seen the cycle go round a couple of times now, and I've seen lots of throwaway, I've seen lots of incredibly plain garments, I've seen lots of decorative garments. And, you know, I mean, I remember in the 1980s when Catherine Hamner did her Chinese laundry look, you just couldn't imagine at that time wearing anything that was ironed ever again, because it was so big to have crumpled clothes. And then suddenly, no, everything's got to be ironed. So I do believe that, although it seems inevitable that we'll all want these throwaway clothes and throwaway fashion, it won't last forever.
Head office design team, they sit there and they get mood boards, great big mood boards, and they put everything on it, pictures, you know what I mean, from catwalks, from wherever. They put little samples of materials, buttons, if something's going to come in, it's going to have funky buttons. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we do nice little cardigans with little pearl buttons, little glass buttons. Anything like that will be on the mood board, and then they'll have a meeting with Jane Shepherdson, who's brand director, and it all gets, you know, what about this, what about that, yeah, we like that, but we might not like that material, we might not like them colours, and it's all discussed at head office.
I think it's now fashion forecasting, you know, it's done within the industry, and it's thought about, you know, well in advance, and those are the innovations we see come out of that kind of process, I think.
I think it has a lot to do with just kind of the high fashion designers as they give their pieces out, because it's all free for the celebrities. They want to be kind of seen as wearing their clothes, so they choose who will give that look right, and then obviously they wear it, and then that makes people want to wear it. So it's ultimately the designers.
Broad fashion trends are set entirely by social, economic, political and cultural change, and you know, there's no getting away from that. Fashion is relentless, it changes everything. Often people think, well, fashion doesn't change terribly much because we still wear jeans and t-shirts and we've been wearing those since the 60s. But the feel of those things is very different now to how they used to feel then, and I think that in terms of who sets trends, yes, I mean designers always come up with new looks, but more often than not you find that designers have a genre that they're designing in. So Dries Van Noten, for example, designs very much Dries Van Noten, and it changes a little bit to sort of allow for fashion change, but it's very much his look, and lots of the big designers do that, and that the real change perhaps happens more at high street level, where each season the consumer is looking for something different, and often people will say that designers force change on consumers, and that is just so not true. Consumers go into shops maybe twice a week looking for something new, and if it's not there they don't buy it. And I'm sure that you all would agree with me that you go and you want to see something new every week, and those shops that put something new in there are the ones who are surviving in the high street at the moment. So actually the consumer is the driver of change in fashion.
So, from the experts and the general public, we've seen a variety of different theories, thoughts and ideas surrounding fashion trends. It's clear to see there is not one specific explanation for where fashion trends come from. It's a variety of different influences ranging from designers and the catwalk. The world of fashion is ultimately an open book.